Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is the Steve Jones Show after a victory in the Big Ten tourney for Penn State. Macatrillo here with you on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Steve will soon be there from the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. And online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Hyundai, all new pre-owned inventory. They have what you need either on 4th Street in Sunbury or at sunburymotors.com. And a big win for Penn State yesterday. Once again, the comeback kids down 16 against Maryland. They come back and win that to finish the regular season. Last night they get down by as many as 14, 15 in the first half if you count that, and they make it happen again. I don't know how much longer Penn State can keep this up. Steve's talked about this with Jim Ferry before. But they've made it 2 games in a row where they've had 2 big comebacks. And hopefully they don't put themselves in that hole again tonight against Wisconsin, who hasn't been playing that great of basketball. But here they are with a chance to get to the quarterfinals tomorrow against Iowa, the 3rd seed. And as I said yesterday, this Penn State team can definitely make a run because they were in the good part of the bracket. They were able to beat Nebraska last night, albeit it wasn't in the fashion they would have hoped for. And now we'll see what happens tonight against Wisconsin. But the same things for both teams last night plagued them. Just for Nebraska at the wrong time, and Penn State was able to overcome theirs, was their scoring droughts. You had another 5-plus minute scoring drought for Penn State in the first half. They got behind. Second half was a much different story. 49 points in the second half. And they start off with a big run and kind of kept things going, and Nebraska just didn't have it in the second half. And when you got to halftime, I thought the winner of this game is going to be determined in the first 5 minutes of the second half, knowing what Penn State just did against Maryland. And then you saw what Penn State did, and you had a feeling there's a pretty good chance they were going to come back and win this game. And they did, and now we'll see what happens with Wisconsin. But can they sustain this? They have just got to be better in the first half because we all know well and good they may get away with it again tonight against Wisconsin. But it sure is not going to happen once they start facing the big boys of the conference, starting with a potential meeting with Iowa Friday. But the good news is for Penn State, the fact that other guys have been able to step up lately is key, especially Jamari Wheeler, who had another good start, kept Penn State in the game when they were struggling. He was the only person that could hit from anywhere or finish drives last night. And then he had a pretty good game there. Everybody else kind of stepped up. Miles Dredd had the 3 late. Myron Jones got his points in the second half, too, so things just kind of worked out for Penn State here and there. So for all the struggles that Jamari Wheeler's had this year, he's been getting hot at the right time, and he's been a major factor for Penn State these last couple of games from the regular season, and then, of course, to start the Big Ten tourney last night. Now, as far as the depth perception and the crowd and all that Kevin Kugler had mentioned yesterday, I was looking for that big time because I thought those were some interesting points that he made. Of course, he had the call last night on BTN. And really, until they showed the shot where you saw the curtain It was kind of like that upward shot of the curtain, and then you can see the crowd and all that. That was really the only weird part I noticed. Other than that, it looked like a normal setting of a court in a football stadium. So I really didn't think it was that drastically different as I thought. Even with the curtain there in the background, you'd have to really look and see at the other angles they were showing, coming back from breaks and things like that, to notice the difference of what you normally get with just one court in a football stadium instead of having the two like they have there now, because that's obviously where they're going to have the NCAA tournament in a couple of weeks once Big Ten's done. And, of course, it didn't seem like it really mattered early. Of course, you didn't get your first set of points till, I think it was 2.5, 3 minutes in. But both teams started off with threes. So as soon as that happened, I was like, well, I guess that throws the depth perception excuse out the window, or idea out the window. But overall, they were up and down. And you weren't sure exactly, too, because, of course, the first game, Steve, was low scoring, but that wasn't that big.
This just in from Indianapolis, by the way.
Okay.
Carson Wentz is a Colt. All right.
I thought you said he was going to be there for the game tonight.
He could. I mean, they are allowing fans.
That's true. Hey, Steve, I was just mentioning this when you came on. I think Penn State is benefiting from different guys starting to step up, especially when these scoring droughts happen, and as far as like keeping them in, and then when everyone starts to get going like they did in the second half, it proved very much worthy in helping them come back last night.
Well, Jamari Wheeler kept him in it last night.
Exactly. Yeah, I just mentioned that.
Because in the first half, Matt, let's be honest, they did almost nothing.
Yes.
And it looked like the first half at Maryland. And look, it was disappointing. But I remember saying to Dick at halftime, I said, you know what it reminds me of is how they're playing? I said, not Maryland, but I said, it reminds me of Purdue. When Purdue was in here, I said, but the difference is this. They were losing by 15 at halftime to what I feel is a very good Purdue team. I said, Nebraska's not Purdue. Nebraska's not Purdue. I said, that's the difference here. And that's why I made the statement. Then we come out of the commercial break, and I made the statement. I said, here's the deal. This is how it has to be done. And I said, you've got to get this thing. They were down 14. I said, the under 16, you got to be in single digits. I said, at the under 12, I said, you've got to put heat on them. And at that point, and at the under 8, you need to have the lead. Sound familiar?
There you go.
Because that's what they did. But that was the whole thing. You had to play it that way. And again, because it's Nebraska, look, I think it's a great comeback that they made last night. Great comeback. No getting around it. But you also did it against a team that you should come back on.
Absolutely.
There's a reason why they've won 7 games this year. All right, are they playing better now? Are they playing better now than at any point this season? I'm talking about Nebraska. Yes, there's no getting around it. There's no question they're playing better now than at any point this season. No question. But they're still, you are who you are. And you just knew that if you put game pressure on them, it was going to be a problem for them. Okay? If you put game pressure on them, they probably were not going to be able to handle it. They played Northwestern really hard, came back on Sunday, came back, took the lead. See, but what happens with losing teams is losing teams end up making losing plays, right? And they play Northwestern, they take the lead. Northwestern misses the shot, and at the buzzer, Young tips it in. They play Illinois. Okay? people talk about game winning, like the Beekman kid hit a 3-point shot today. Oh my God, it was incredible, the whole deal. Well, guess what? If Beekman missed the shot, guess what would have happened with Syracuse and Virginia today? They'd have gone to overtime. It's the shot you take where you're behind, and you put your team, and you win the game on it. Now that's real pressure, because if you miss, you are not winning. Well, Illinois and Nebraska are in that spot. IU goes right, scores, goes right, scores, goes right, scores, and they tie the game up. So then Fred Hoiberg runs a play at the end. This guy runs as fine an offensive mind as you're going to be around. So McGowan's has it, and Teddy Allen inexplicably comes over to set a screen for him. McGowan's is looking at him, and of course, when you set a screen, what do? You bring your defender with you. Now McGowan's has 2 guys on him. And that's what Fred Hoiberg did, the infamous rip the mask off and throw it to the ground. He was so mad. It's the only time I ever saw him mad in the sideline. And that's because losing teams make losing plays. That was a losing play. And last night, once Penn State, here's the other part. Once Penn State got the lead, they kept the lead. And then there's Miles Dredd. You'll love this. Remember, it's obvious Penn State did not play last year in the tournament. Okay? So for guys like Miles Dredd, Myron Jones, they'd only played in one ever Big Ten tournament game. They'd only played in one ever Big Ten tournament game. Did you realize that? That was it. Okay. Well, Miles Dredd didn't score in that game 2 years ago, and he played a lot. He missed every shot. He didn't hit a shot. Well, last night he's going through the game. Guess what he wasn't doing? He hadn't hit any shots. And then finally, where they're up 1 late, Miles Dredd seems to do something late. He hit that straight-on 3, and when he did, that was it. That was the shot that put the game away. That was as Wayne Larrivee would say, the dagger. It's amazing how that turns out sometimes. Amazing. And it was tough, obviously, tough one last night for Bucknell. So,
yeah.
The part about that you just don't know. I mean, you just don't know at all. Don't know. None of us have any idea how good Colgate is. I don't know how good they are. They play 3 teams. Even now, I don't know how good they are. I mean, it's just a game. I mean, sometimes, like, certain things happen. It's like, okay, it's just one of those nights. Oh, well. Let's see. Michigan State jumped out to a 21-9 lead and then lost today. 21-9, lost. Maryland ended up blowing them out in the game. Ohio State's all over Minnesota right now. Playing the first game is a disadvantage when you play the opening night. You want to know why? Come on, you can guess. Come on, you can guess.
Trying to figure out the court and all that?
No. That's one. But the team that wins the game? In the Big Ten, you have to come back and play at 2 in the afternoon. You play the second game, which was the 9 o'clock game. You get to play the 9 o'clock game the next night. Exactly. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, because you said yesterday the point was to keep everybody in the same time slot.
Well, right, and but they don't do that with the first game. I said that about Penn State with the second game because I knew Penn State was in the 9 o'clock time slot tonight and tomorrow. So they'd be in 9 o'clock all 3 nights. Right? It's the way it should be. But I didn't say that's where they would keep the team in the first one. The first one, they're playing at 2:30 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, great. Makes no sense. 0 cents. Oh, man. 0 cents. How about that? But that's the part we're playing in the first game. We talked about it last night. You play the first game, you'd think you'd be in the 6:30 game. Nah, Rutgers and Indiana's in the 6:30 game tonight. All right. Today's show brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. We're also going to get a sponsor for the Carson Wentz is a Colts statement every day.
Oh, really?
You want to know why? There's 2 reasons. A, it's a fact, and B, it tortures you. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hara hands the ball off to Jones. Myron to his right. 4 to shoot. MJ, crossover. Elbow, jumper. No. Tip by Brockington. And good. Penn State leads 68-62. 34 seconds left.
I should have spelled out Good. Good. That's for you, Doug.
Fouled. That spells fouled.
Meanwhile, sitting in a back office. Could you spell that again? I missed the first 2 letters.
You and him for our Local Hoops doubleheader part 2 tonight.
Really?
Yes, we have Shikellamy and Central Mountain in the District 4-6 5A final. And then leading in right to you and DJ for Penn State and Wisconsin.
Very nice. That's great. We should get Dave Ritchie on the show. That way he feels like he can talk once today. That's not funny. Great to have you with us today. Brought to you by Sunbury Motors.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Hyundai, great new inventory. Fabulous pre-owned inventory. Great time to buy as well. Great deals. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Before we get it, we're going to hear from Dwight Galt, Penn State's strength and conditioning coach. This is always an enlightening press conference with him. Gives everybody just a real good idea where the team is before spring practice. Matt mentioned to me going as we went into the break that on our play-by-play call of the day, we play a variety of them. And the other day we played the very good, by the way, very good. Play-by-play call the high school basketball game. Meanwhile, who had to walk up and ask Matt yesterday, Did you play the call I sent you?
And I told him, I said, I have very high standards for the play-by-play call today, and it was very good, and yeah, I put it on.
Do the words cry for help mean anything? All right. Dwight Galt is, or I think most people consider him to be among the best in the business. I can be absolutely prejudicial and say I think he is the best in the business at strength and conditioning. What a job he's done at Penn State. I had a chance to talk to the media about what Penn State has done during the winter workout program, which ended on Tuesday.
Hey, folks, how's everybody doing? Appreciate you guys jumping on this morning, and it's good seeing you guys. Obviously, I've been able to see you guys like we have in the past, but hopefully that will change here at some point. Just wanted to kind of give you guys just a little bit of a update on kind of what's been going on, with my area, which kind of been front and center here these last couple of months. But we started our program on January the 22nd. Which is the latest that we started, for a couple of reasons. One, because obviously school was delayed for a week, and then two, we wanted to get we have our discretionary week responsibility to the NCAA, so we wanted to get 3 full weeks of discretionary in to free us up, for more training down the line. So the one thing that was a little different this year is that combined with this late start, with the way our season, ended up, with the bowl game situation, we ended up with having 37 days off between formal training sessions, which is a lot, is a long time, the most that I've really had in my career. And to be honest, I'm not going to say I wasn't a little concerned, when we kind of figured the whole thing out. But we were really blessed that the guys did a pretty good job of doing some things when they were still at home. And then obviously when they got here, they were rip-roaring and ready to go. So it's worked out pretty well. We've ended up, I guess it's been 48 days since we started. In those 48 days of training, we got 21 weightlifting sessions in, and we got 14 running workouts in. The 14 running workouts, 7 of them were pure speed days, which, as you guys know from your experience with me, I absolutely cherish. And then we had 4 winter workout days, which is an extremely valuable part of our program as well. Not only from a conditioning standpoint and a movement standpoint, but really to bring the team together, unify the team. So just a quick, real brief on what that looked like is, we've got a very motivated, hungry, driven team right now. Everybody really responded to the 2020 season in a very, very motivated way. It's been a blast to train them. We still have restricted, COVID-style training. We typically have 2 groups in the winter. We had 4 groups. So it allowed us to have smaller groups. But then usually the bigger the group, the more energy you have. But I'll tell you one thing, it was phenomenal. These guys really did a great job. It was a lot of fun for us to train them, and they didn't miss a beat the whole time. So it was great. Then this past week we did, we kind of culminated at the end of the cycle with bench and power clean testing on Monday. And then we had squat testing yesterday, and the guys did awesome. We're in a really good place. And I think, with not having a spring break and just going right into spring football on Monday, we're really going to continue to train very similar to what we have. So we feel like we've caught up and more from any kind of deficit we may have had just because of that long break and the way the season, the season was early on with stop and go back in September. and we feel really good, and we feel by the end of spring ball we'll be in a really, really good place from a strength, power, conditioning perspective. So just kind of wanted to throw that out at you guys and kind of give you a little background of where we are, and then we can open it up for questions.
All right, when I call on your name, I'll unmute you, and you could ask your question. Let's start with Tyler Donahue with Lions 247. Go ahead, Tyler.
Hey, good morning, Dwight. Good to see you.
Hi, Tyler. Good to see you, brother.
So I wanted to ask about those 2020 freshmen, the ones you've specifically seen make major leap in their first year on campus, and then kind of piggybacking off that, what is the challenges that they encountered considering what they experienced in year one?
Yeah, it's been a wild year for them. The one thing, Tyler, is we ended up with, I think we had 12 or 13 mid-years back in January, and we were blessed because they got to at least get to feel a normal winter training, so that put them in a good place. The thing that's really odd is more than half our team has never done a spring football right now. So this is a really new thing starting up on Monday, and it was new for me because guys were asking me all last week, like, what's spring football like? I'm like, whoa. So that's a different dynamic. But for those other guys, Tyler, that just came in the summertime and that we brought in, this time here was a real good kind of return to normalcy with normal lift groups, and we spent some locker room and, like I said, some lift time deals. But that's kind of all they know right now. But it was really good to get them see some normalcy. As far as those guys specifically, Tyler, it's a really good class. It's a really good class, and we got our big guys have done a really nice job. It's a very tight class. They've been through a lot together. They're really tight. Most of them are, but this group seems especially so. We've got a ton of talent. There's a lot of expectations for this class, even though they haven't been here that long to be major contributors this year. So I think it's going to go down as a really, really good one for us.
Next, we'll go to Bob Flounders with Penn Live.
Hi, Dwight. Thanks for your time.
Hey, Bob.
Dwight, I wanted to ask you your impressions and your thoughts on the defensive linemen at Penn State. You lost a lot of talented players off of last year's defensive line. 3 starters, a key reserve, and Shane Simmons. What have you seen from the defensive linemen, the tackles and ends, and specifically, I know you got some guys in through the transfer portal. I think that you're excited about what you've seen from Derek and Arnold.
Yeah, Bob, that started out as kind of being one of those things that we're like, okay, what are we going to do here? And I feel comfortable in us coming up with some solutions. But I think it is really it's really played out really well, and from a lot of different reasons. I think that our young talent has really stepped up and improved. Guys that we all know about, from last year. Adee Isaac and Smith Filbert. Akeem Beeman, guys like that got a little bit of a sniff last year have really improved. Not only their strength, their power, their physiques, but also their football IQ. And it's losing Sean Spencer was he was an excellent coach and a great friend of mine. And Scott has come in and just done a phenomenal job picking up where Sean left off. And it's taken the players a little bit to kind of get used to John, and now it's a really seamless deal from everybody. So I think that another guy, Devon Elise, has really improved, has really matured, and then PJ Mustipher has really taken it to a whole new level. He's gained some weight. He's asserted himself as kind of that guy, on that defensive front, both physically and spiritually. He's done a great job of leadership, and we're really looking forward to seeing him in the middle this year. One guy that we're really proud of and pleased with is going to be could potentially be a big impact guy for us this year is Nick Tarbert. And, he's a guy, as we know, we fought through some low back and some hip and some other things with him during the course of his career here. And we feel really, really strongly about, what Nick could provide to the program. Our 2 new guys, talk about bringing in some, some roles right here to coin a phrase. But, Arnold and Derek Tangelo have been phenomenal. It's Epicades, his last name, Arnold's last name. And these are two guys that are going to step in and could potentially be great contributors for us. Obviously, they're both older guys. But they're very athletic, they're very mature, they're very hardworking, they're very driven, and the best thing is they fit right in. I mean, it's just Derek did a great job in the power clean, on Monday, and you would never know he'd only been here for 8 weeks. I mean, he's just treated like he's just one of the guys already. So that unit went from being a small little question mark to an area that could be a real strength for us.
We'll go to Audrey Snyder with The Athletic.
Hey, you got me?
Hi, Audrey. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I wanted to ask you about your quarterbacks and how have they been, specifically Sean and Taquan, and how is Christian Veilleux kind of getting up to speed?
Well, Audrey, it's a good question. Obviously the biggest thing going for the quarterbacks is Mike Yursich. So, Mike has come in and has taken this offense over in a very emphatic way, and it's just been great. And everybody's rallied around him. And I think that the adjustment to hit his system has been really, really good and very positive. That's kind of been the big thing is having the entire offense, not just the quarterbacks, kind of start to learn what Mike's all about. And he's a phenomenal guy and a great coach. Obviously Sean is Sean. He had an unbelievable winter. He continues to develop his leadership skills. I had him on a totally different program this winter that I think was really what he needed. From continuing to improve his ability to perform on the field physically, but also to make sure his body is as bulletproof as possible. Taquan has always been one of my favorite guys. He's a very, very steady, hardworking, positive, count on type of guys, and he's really stepped up big time. And having a new coordinator come in has actually been a good situation for him because he kind of starts off on the same playing field with learning that system as anybody else that would be older than him. So he knows this is a great situation for him to kind of be on even there, just because Sean was had so much more reps. So we feel good about him, and then Christian's been great as well. Christian, Veilleux, that's how you pronounce his last name, actually, and he's done as well. I think the coach, I've not seen him throw yet, so I think that's, to be really honest, that's one of the biggest things that we're looking forward to seeing on Mondays, to see Christian throw. But he's worked really hard. Having him as mid-year has been a godsend. That's been a great situation to have him and let him get this extra development and this extra learning from a quarterback position. So, we're not huge in numbers right now. Mason Stahl has been a great non-scholarship player for us that fits right in and athletically is really good, has picked up the steps as well. So we don't have great numbers right now, but we have great confidence in the guys that we have.
Next up is Nate Bauer with BWI.
Hey, Dwight, how are you?
Good, Nate. How you doing?
Good. Hey, I'm curious with transfers coming into the program, becoming a thing that are immediately eligible to play moving forward. For guys who have a few years lifting and training at the college level, is there a transition? Like, is there a learning curve, I guess, to getting them into your system?
Yeah, Nate, it's been interesting. It's been good for me because, I like that we go ahead and spend a couple weeks with kind of getting them integrated in. And then I really kind of leave any kind of past training history out of it for then. And then we start kind of diving in a little bit just for my knowledge and everything. And it's been a big adjustment for them. It's been a very big adjustment for both of them. And I think it's been a real positive. I think that Arnold's background was a little different in that, I think that they had a different situation, a little more similar to ours than say they did down in Carolina at Duke. But Arnold came in and he wasn't a typical weight of a Penn State D end. He's already gained 7 pounds in the short time he's been here, and he's an incredible athlete. So he's blossoming big time, with the type of training that we have. And then I can say the same about Derek. Derek came in, and it took him a couple weeks to get into the program. Well, for some other health reasons, and once he came into the program, it's been phenomenal. He too gained some weight as well. He's up to about 305 right now, but he put 65 pounds on his power clean just in the short time that he's been here. So he was able to clean 350, and really has done a nice job. But it's been a really big transition for him. The weight room had, but especially those 14 running workouts we talked about. You guys know, kind of how we run those things. We get a lot of work done in a short period of time, and our guys get in shape pretty quick, when they come in here as freshmen. But if you're an older player, that can be an adjustment. But to Derek's credit, though, he's really done a great job, catching on, and the guys been very supportive of him, and he's almost there. So we got another few weeks to go, and we feel good about him.
It's interesting. I hear him talk about, clean 350. And all I think about is the power in that corner office. It's unbelievable. It's, yeah. That's all. He gives as informative a press conference as anybody does. You feel like you have a better feel of where everybody is going into spring practice. Spring practice begins on Monday for Penn State. That's Dwight Galt. Neil Coulong next half hour. Great to have you with us today. Brought to you by Sunbury Motors on News Radio 1070 WKOK. When it comes to car buying, there's the other guy's way, and then there's the SMC way. The other guys force you into a vehicle you really don't want. The Sunbury Motors way lets you take the time you need to browse, ask questions, and take the test drive and think on it. For over 100 years, the Mertz family and all their employees have made your experience the most pleasant one you'll ever have. The other guys won't offer you the best price for your trade, no matter how much they say they will. The SMC way is their promise to provide you with the most money the market shows your vehicle is worth. The SMC way is to offer you all applicable factory rebates on new vehicles and generous discounts. Looking for a pre-owned vehicle? The SMC way checks each vehicle in a 200-mile radius to determine the lowest price, then beat it. It's the lowest price promise, just part of the SMC way. The choice is up to you. The other guy's way or the SMC way. The SMC way wins every time. Sunbury Motors Company in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and at sunburymotors.com. Selling more cars and satisfying more customers for over 100 years. So he says in his press conference today, Langdon Tangwell. I had a chance to actually talk to him and his father a couple of weeks ago. Said Tangwell came in at 319 pounds with low body fat. I'm resisting corner office jokes here, okay?
I can tell.
All right. Neil Coulong next half hour. Looking forward to that. When it comes to the play-by-play call today, were there any requests that you had to fulfill to keep your job, or
no? We're all good today.
But tomorrow could be a different story.
Depending on how the game goes, yes.
That makes it 72-12.
I mean, Chick could win their first district title since '79, I believe.
That'd be great. Go get them. At least it's not Jersey Shore, because we know how much the suit is revered there.